it's Agnieszka from 5 Minute Language. Thank you so much for tuning in. This video is a bit of a kind of chatty video I wanted to make to talk to you about my journey to fluency in English. And it's a video about English specifically, but I'm sure it will be useful for you regardless of the language you're learning. So hopefully some of the tips I will give you, you will be able to apply them to the language that you're learning or thinking of learning. So before I get into the details of this question, I want to just ask you to subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss similar videos in the future, and give this video a thumbs up if you like it. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is, some of you may know this already, but at the moment I live in London and I've lived in the UK for about 12 years now. I moved here to go to university because I wanted to study English and French, and there was a university course that I really liked the look of, and I decided to go to England to do it, which was quite scary because I'd never been to England before. So I grew up in Poland and I was learning English for a few years before I went to university. So just to kind of make it clear, I was already fluent in English before I came to the UK. So I don't want you to get the wrong impression that you have to live abroad to be able to get fluent. You don't have to do that at all. Obviously, if you go abroad, you will be able to learn more quickly and you will be able to improve your accent and kind of refine your language. But I definitely don't want you to think that you have to go abroad to learn a language or to get to fluency. It's definitely not the case with me. I could already speak English fluently before I came to the UK. All right, so now that I've clarified this, I feel like I'm ready to move into the details of how I got to fluency. So the first thing I want to tell you is vocabulary. So when I was at school, I actually didn't feel like I was very good at lots of subjects. I was actually really interested in languages. I wasn't very good at physics or chemistry or maths. Like, I was alright at maths, but languages were just my favorite thing. And I decided to really fully devote myself and devote my time to languages. So I spent a lot of time learning vocabulary. And the way I did it was, I basically took magazines. So in the town where I grew up, you could actually get English magazines from this international bookshop, which was really handy. So I used to buy Time magazine, which is an American magazine, and the international edition of Newsweek. So at that point, I wasn't fluent at all. And when I opened Time magazine, I was maybe intermediate, upper intermediate. I could kind of read it, but I didn't really understand a lot of the sentences. I didn't understand a lot of the vocabulary. But what I basically did was, every time I saw a word which I didn't understand, I underlined it. And then I went to my dictionary to check the meaning. I also had a monolingual dictionary, so an English dictionary where the definitions were given in English. And I would look up those definitions and write them down in my vocabulary notebook. And that was quite a sort of tedious process, you could say, because I was literally learning all these words. So it took me, ages to go through one article. So I was sometimes working on one article for a week because there were so many words in it that I didn't understand. But this very focused vocabulary work is what allowed me to get to fluency more quickly, I believe, because that just helped me, learning those words helped me do more reading, and the reading then improved my English overall. So yeah, read magazines and learn vocabulary from them, even if you're not advanced. So I've got my little list here. Moving on to the second point, I learned a lot of idioms and collocations. So I basically had a dictionary of idioms and a dictionary of collocations. And every now and again, I would, whenever I came across a word in one of those magazines, I would then look up what idioms that word makes up in English, and also what the collocations, the common collocations are. So what other words does this word go with? Which was a really nice way of developing this kind of colloquial way of speaking, and a more natural way of speaking. So when you learn a language, often at the start you might, combine words with words that those words don't really go with, and it sounds a little bit unnatural, but that's all part of the learning process. And then as you become more advanced, you start to understand that there are certain ways, certain kind of groups that words tend to go in, and these groups are called collocations. So for example, when I say I'm going to have a quick bath is a collocation. Like, you wouldn't say I'm going to have a speedy bath. That's just not what people say. So I definitely recommend getting yourself a dictionary of idioms and a dictionary of collocations. Even if you're not learning English, these things exist in every language. So there you go. That's my tip. So the next thing I did was I read a lot of simplified novels. So a simplified novel is basically a novel which is written in simpler language to help you understand the meaning. It's something that exists in English, certainly. I have seen simplified novels in other languages as well, but I don't know whether they exist in every single language. But you can just Google simplified novels in Finnish if you're learning Finnish and see if there's anything out there. If you can't find simplified novels, you can always get children's novels, children's short stories. Children's books are very basic. They contain little vocabulary. So they're really good for beginners or kind of intermediate learners. So I did a lot of that. I also started reading actual novels when I got to the stage where I could. The next thing I did was speaking to myself a lot. So this is something that I just basically figured out myself. Like when I was 14 or 15, I didn't even, internet wasn't like a big thing like what it's like now. There wasn't Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. So I wasn't reading blogs because blogs were not really a thing, but I just somehow figured out, I don't know any English people in my town, so I might as well just talk to myself. And that's what I did. So when I was home alone, I would just speak English to myself, and that helped me. So, definitely don't feel like if you don't know any French people, you can't speak French. Well, you can, because whatever you learn, you can practice it with yourself. And obviously there will be nobody to correct your mistakes, but you will be developing confidence. You will be, saying something is better than saying nothing. And then, you can use Skype or italki to find a language exchange partner and kind of get that feedback, get somebody to correct you once you get to that stage where you want to do that. And one thing I definitely recommend when it comes to speaking is a technique I call echoing. And you may have seen this on the 5-Minute Language blog already because I've spoken about it before. But echoing is basically repeating what somebody else has said. So you can do that yourself at home. You can do it with a YouTube video, for example, play it, and then pause it after 10 seconds and repeat exactly what the person has said, word for word. So you're kind of echoing what they're saying. And it's just a way for you to kind of process language. So you hear it and then you say it, and it just becomes more solidified in your memory. And the final thing I did to get to fluency in English was I had pen friends. And you might not know what that is if you're kind of a bit younger than me, but those of you who are my age or older will know. So that was obviously, like I said, before the age of kind of social media and YouTube. There was this magazine in Poland, which is where I grew up, called, I'm trying to think what it was called, but I can't remember, Languages, obviously. And it had this section where people would advertise well, they would say, I'm looking for a pen pal. Can you like write me letters because I want to practice English? And there were people from around the world posting their addresses and saying, write me a letter and we can be friends. So I had several friends in Ghana actually that I was corresponding with, and we would basically send each other letters and kind of chat about whatever 12-year-olds chat about. It was nice. It was really nice. I was also corresponding with a girl from Hong Kong, which was quite cool, and we would exchange stickers as well because stickers was a thing for some reason when I was growing up. So that was quite fun. So definitely, get yourself a pen friend. Now is going to be obviously online, so maybe there is somebody who wants to exchange letters with you or exchange emails. It's a really nice way to practice your writing skills and your general language skills. So this is basically it. These are my main tips on how I got to fluency, or how you can get to fluency if you follow them. I hope you enjoyed it. Give this video a thumbs up if you did, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you here again. So, I'll see you next time. Bye!